Hey guys, here is a quick introduction to solving basic one-step equations. So when we're solving equations, our goal is to isolate the variable. And the word isolate just means to get by itself. So we want to get the variable all by itself, all alone. And we do that by doing the opposite. So we do the opposite or the inverse. Inverse is another word for opposite. Do the opposite or inverse of what is being done. Now that may be a little confusing right now, but we're going to go through some examples and I think it will make more sense. So an example problem here is going to be solve for x. And our problem is going to be x minus 4 equals 10. That is the equation. So we need to get this x here all by itself. And so we have to do the opposite of what's being done. Well, here we have x subtract 4 equals 10. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So we're going to add 4. Now, in order to keep the equation balanced, whatever we do to one side of the equal sign, we also have to do to the other. So we added 4 on this side. We're also going to add 4 on this side. Now, when we do that, negative 4 plus 4 actually equals 0. So those cancel out. We would have nothing left. Now we have x on this side. There's our equal sign. And 10 plus 4 is 14. So x equals 4. Oh, excuse me, 14. X equals 14. Now, if we want to check our answer, we can evaluate. So we're now going to evaluate x equals 14. And that really just means that we're going to plug it in to check our work. So our original equation was x minus 4 equals 10. Well, now we found that x equals 14. So we're going to plug 14 in for that x. So when we rewrite that, we have 14 minus 4 equals 10. Now 14 minus 4 is 10. 10 equals 10. And those are equal to each other. That's true. 10 is equal to 10. So we are correct. So we solved for x and we evaluated. Now let's do a couple more examples. So let's solve for y. We're going to start with the equation y minus 5 equals negative 2. So we need to get y all by itself. Y is our variable right here. And we're going to do that by doing the opposite of what's being done. So we have y subtract 5 equals negative 2. The opposite of subtraction is addition. So we're going to add 5 to both sides. Now when we do that, those 5's cancel out. And y equals negative 2 plus 5 equals 3. When we solve, we get y equals 3. Well, now we want to evaluate y equals 3. So our original equation was y minus 5 equals negative 2. We're going to plug 3 in for our y. So we have 3 minus 5 equals negative 2. And 3 minus 5, negative 2. Negative 2 is equal to negative 2. A really important thing when you're solving equations is to understand your operations and know which ones are opposites. So the opposite of addition is subtraction. The opposite of subtraction is addition. Same goes for multiplication and division. So we may have a problem that says solve for x, and our expression may say, or excuse me, our equation, these are equations, they have an equal sign, and our equation may say 3x equals 12. Now remember, when a coefficient and a variable are written side by side like they are right here, it means we're multiplying. So whatever x is, it means we're going to multiply that value by 3. So if we're multiplying, the opposite of multiplication is division. So we need this to be all alone. So we're going to divide it by 3, since we're multiplying it by 3. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other to keep it balanced. And those cancel out to be 1 over 1, which leaves us our x alone. And we have x equals 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now we want to evaluate that or check our work. So we're going to plug 4 in for this x. So now we have 3 times 4 equals 12. Well, 3 times 4 does equal 12, so we were correct. Quick reminder, remember when we have a variable that's all by itself. So let's do an example where we have x over 2 equals 20. Okay, we have this x up here, and it's all by itself. There's no coefficient. We have to remember that that actually means 1. So we're going to put the 1 there just so we get in the habit of remembering that that's the value that goes there. So now we have 1x divided by 2 equals 20. And we need to solve for x. So right now we have 1x that's being divided by 2. And the opposite of division is multiplication. If you remember anything about your properties, we have the multiplicative inverse property, which means that any number multiplied by its reciprocal is going to equal 1, which is what we need. We need this x all by itself. So reciprocal means that we flip it. So the reciprocal of 1 over 2 is 2 over 1. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So we multiplied by 2 over 1 over on this side. We're going to multiply by 2 over 1 on this side of the equal sign as well. And when we do that, when we multiply fractions, we actually multiply straight across. So now 2 times 1x gives us 2x, and 1 times 2 gives us 2. And remember, any whole number is actually over 1. So now 20 times 2 is 40. 1 times 1 is 1. And when we do that, this 2 over 2 actually simplifies, right? And it's a whole. That's one whole. So we have 1x equals 40 over 1, which is simplified down to 40. So remember, this is the same thing as this. We just put that 1 there so we can visualize and see what the value of that is. So now we have x equals 40. And we want to evaluate to see if that is correct. So we're going to check our work. And we're just going to plug 40 in for our original, which was x over 2. So we're going to have 40 divided by 2 equals 20. If you're not sure how to do the division, use a calculator. And 40 divided by 2 is 20. And 20 equals 20. And we are correct. So that is how we solve and evaluate basic one-step equations. We just had to do one thing on each side to get the variable by itself, which is why we call it a one-step.